welcome to this week's edition of Makeshift Kitchen. Today we are going to teach you how to make easy and delicious fried chicken right at home. Now, first things first, you're going to need ingredients kind of like what I've got here. And now, let's begin with the first step, which is of course, preparing the chicken. After that's done, you're then going to want to prepare your batter like so. Now let's get some side dishes ready. Now when that's all done, you're going to end up with something that looks like this. You don't want to eat this. This is when we move on to the next and second most important part of making fried chicken. Abandon everything you've done so far, get into your car and get some KFC. By the time everything is done, we should end up with something that looks like this. And of course, now comes my favourite part.
Coming up next on Makeshift Kitchen, we'll be teaching you how to make beer batter macaroni and cheese with a welding torch. Stay tuned.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Do you like good music? Do you like good movies? Well, I've got the film for you. Green Book. This was an absolute treat to watch. I loved every second of this movie, and I can safely say that as someone who knew absolutely nothing about the source material outside of the trailer, which made me believe for a little bit that it was a movie about a guy teaching another guy how to eat KFC. For those who don't know, Green Book is a biopic about Dr. Don Shirley, in particular when he did a tour of the American South, and how he enlisted the help of Tony the Lip to act as his driver. And okay, from there we actually get to see their various misadventures, the forming of their friendship and bond that lasted till their unfortunate deaths back in 2013. And the two actors they got to play these guys, man, Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, man, they give stellar performances in this. They've got great chemistry, and they also give some great delivery for the many jokes in the movie that always hit the mark, man. And it doesn't feel like they're just playing out jokes from a script. It actually just feels like real people giving real, well, interactions between one another, which is fantastic. But of course, at the core, this is a road trip movie. So naturally you'd think there would be like a sense of urgency in a lot of things, but there really isn't. If you go back and look like other road trip or road chase movies like, say, Smokey and the Bandit, Fury Road, or even, hell, Road Trip, there was always a sense of urgency and a reason why that was clear why the characters need to keep moving. Here, we don't really get that till the very end, and even then, it's still kind of just passed off as a light-hearted joke or not really a big deal that it really does hurt it. But on top of that, there's also no real reason for why Tony actually becomes Shirley's driver. Like, it actually establishes early in the movie, while he is in need of money, he's actually doing fine, conning people and coming up with all these schemes that work out. So it just leaves you confused as to why he took the job when earlier he didn't take it to begin with. Which does kind of tie into another issue the movie does have, at least in terms of story. You can tell lots of things were omitted or changed throughout the course of the story. But as to why, you're just left scratching your head as to why. I mean, was it because it was too unsavory, or maybe people wouldn't believe it? But I do know that if they kept some of these details in, the believability in some of the scenes, in particular before the trip actually starts, would be better. But on a more positive note though, the movie completely lacks identity politics, which is just great. When it comes to showing off the racism that was very apparent in the American South at the time, it's very even-handed and it's not shoved down your throat or as a guilt trip to people. And it does lead to some really great drama between Shirley and Tony. Like, you will end up feeling for both of them, and hell, it's just nice to see a movie from Hollywood that doesn't just try to guilt trip the audience. And of course, it's also got a fantastic soundtrack. We actually get great glimpses of various piano music, jazz, blues, whatnot, as well as an idea of the various music that Dr. Shirley produced throughout his life. Hell, I walked away from this movie actually looking for a copy of his rendition of Orpheus in the Underworld. And what I found, I won't say it was the best, but I was still happy to have looked into it. Suffice to say this, Green Book is a fun movie. It's got great jokes, likeable characters, and it was just a rip-roaring good time, even though I knew nothing about the musicians it was about or his music, but I came away from it completely satisfied. And on top of that, this movie actually won Best Picture at the Oscars, and I cannot think of another movie that was nominated that deserves it. If that's not an endorsement, I do not know what is.
Well, thanks for watching this video all the way through. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you really liked it, then please feel free to also like and subscribe to the channel. Now for the next movie review, I'm gonna have reviews of Captain Marvel and Lego Movie 2 out as soon as possible, and for game reviews, I'm doing a double feature taking a look at some walking simulator horror games. I've got all that and more coming up, so like usual, as always, stick around.